Today on the Topping Show, Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer feeds a woman Doritos like she's a dog and goes viral. Zelensky is reportedly proposing a ceasefire after the Trump meeting. Kamala's 60-minute interview has a highlight question around illegal immigration and it flops. Elon on a graph of Democrats showing that they've moved more and more left throughout the years. Apple TV is coming to Prime Video. Rio Tinto is buying Arcadaium Lithium for $6.7 billion. And the Honda Civic Type R, Acura Integra Type S are both being recalled. All of that and much, much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see a founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Apple TV Plus going to Prime Video. Now, not to brag, but I'm part of the 1% of Americans who do not own Amazon Prime. I joke it's probably more like 4, 5, 6%, but one of those things where back in my day, you could wait a couple days to get your non-necessary products, and it's almost like a cheap form of gambling. You don't know when is your whey protein going to come in the mail. Who knows? You really need it in 24 hours or less, but I partially digress on that ridiculous luxury that so many people take for granted. Now, this comes to us thanks to TheVerge.com. Specifically, Jess, who's a writer over there, she says, quote, Apple TV Plus is coming to Prime Video. Prime Video customers in the U.S. can soon access Apple TV Plus content for an extra $9.99 per month. Now, don't forget, you have to take the sales tax on top of that. So it's obviously going to be much more than $10, depending on where you live. Texas, it's a 8.25% sales tax. So good marketing, because again, people in America, especially psychology, they'll think, oh, it's $9. Because it's not, it's $9.99. It's a retail phenomenon. No, it's much more than $10, because never forget the sales tax, where so many places have that on top of the myriad of other taxes they charge us. But I partially digress on that point. Now, they continue in the article saying, oh, there's a nice big Apple logo there, Apple TV Plus. They say, quote, Apple is adding Apple TV Plus to Prime Video, a move that could help bolster the iPhone maker's languishing streaming service, which is hilarious that, Apple started as a very innovative, computer company, and throughout the years they made a myriad of products. Some flopped, some did well, and now they're known as a phone maker because, again, by volume products sold. I mean, don't get me wrong, the iPhone Banana Falcon 12, 15 plus red model around is huge, and people buy those things in droves. I mean, it's admirable from a business perspective, the culture that Apple has built to the point where people are willing to pay something they know that it's more than 50% profit for those little knickknacks that they sell. Not to be rebel, but I'm the one guy in my family still holding out. I got the Android. They haven't got me yet, but I partially digress. They say Apple TV Plus will be on the platform later this month, being $9.99 add-on. The same otherwise paid directly to Apple, which very interesting, because that's going to be less profitable for Apple in terms of per unit sold, because obviously Amazon's going to take a bite of that. Some might say they're going to take a bite of that apple. Pun intended, obviously. They say the difference is now that Apple TV Plus is being promoted directly on Amazon's massive video subscriber base. Now, Prime Video head Mike Hopkins at Bloomberg reported, say, quote, what we offer channel partners is hundreds of millions of subscribers around the world. We see a lot more engagement. We're able to get subscribers for those businesses at a really attractive rate, which, unquote, which is true. You get that massive volume of users, be able to bolster the overall volume of units sold. Now, they say that for Amazon, Apple TV Plus joins over, wow, this is more than I thought, 100 streaming services add-ons already available through the Prime Video channels. So looks like having Apple TV Plus available with the Prime Video isn't quite the same. Looks like you also have competitors like Comcast, which is combining Netflix, Peacock, and Apple TV Plus offerings, but the goal is the same. Everyone wants to get more consumers, which, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not the core demographic or the core prospective client when it comes to Apple products. Truth be told, I think the last one I got was the iPod Nano 10? I saw the good old OG click wheel when I was in college. I think that was the last Apple product I bought. I won an iPad at an IT raffle like 6 years ago, which ironically I mainly used it to prop up my month to-do list on my desk. But yeah, I think that was the last Apple product I got. Definitely I'm not their consumer. But yeah, I have friends who love Apple, and I do respect they do have some great cybersecurity from a phone perspective. I appreciate that. But in terms of Apple TV Plus, I couldn't name one good program on that. Granted, I mostly read books in my very little free time, but yeah, let me know let me know in the comments. Is there anything on Apple TV Plus where you're more than willing to pay this rate for? And yeah, especially because it's not a discounted rate. It's very interesting. It's gonna be the same price. So does that mean? I'm trying to think of the compelling reason. If you're a consumer, why not just go Apple Direct? Because again, you have to pay the same price. Just check. Maybe it's easier just to click an extra button, have your Amazon bill go up yet again. But yeah, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you one single quality program on Apple TV Plus. I mean, undoubtedly, this will increase their sales because, again, you get access to that massive new audience. But, I mean, let me know in the comments. When was the last time you actually thought of Apple TV Plus? Can you name a single, exceptional program on there that you'd be willing to pay for? And are you more likely to buy it because it's going to be on the Amazon platform? Let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Rio Tinto to buy Arcadaim Lithium for $6.7 billion in cash. Though, hilariously enough, it's not actual cash. They don't go to the bank and ask for those dollar bills. More realistically, it's a wire transfer, but it means they're not doing exchange for stock or other assets as part of the deal. So it would be comical, again, if they did actually wheel in. That'd be multiple semi-trucks of cash, but I partially digress. This comes to us thanks to the OG search engine, Yahoo Finance specifically. I mean, maybe it's just a nostalgia. I'd like to check out that website, which, believe it or not, was bigger than Google back in the day. Which, yeah, ADHD. Let me know in the comments if you hate or love my ADHD comments. But yeah, Yahoo at one time, they had an offer for Microsoft to sell for $40 billion. They later sold for $4 billion, I think, to Verizon. So good lesson of it. Timing is half of everything in life. Now, specifically going to the actual article by Shiano Smith as well as Massive Mills, they quote, Rio Tinto to acquire Arcadaim Lithium in $6.7 billion cash deal. There you see those stocks going up and down, which again, not financial advice. And hindsight's always 2020 when it comes to investing. Wish I got some of these stocks years ago. Now they say, quote, mining giant Rio Tinto will officially purchase Arcadaim Lithium (ALTM) at a price of $6.7 billion cash acquisition, priced at $5.85 per Arcadaim share. The deal is set to catapult Rio Tinto as one of the leaders in lithium production. Which, as I say, given the purchasing patterns of most Americans these days, can't help but think, yeah, it's probably a great long-term investment because we're not going to be using any less electronics anytime soon. And, I don't know, I love debating with my engineering friends and my tech friends how much more life can we get out of lithium ion. Again, do me a favor and click that subscribe button. I have a theory. When I first started the show, barely anyone clicked the subscribe button. My speaking was so bad. I would speak mostly monotone, even faster than I do now. And I would stumble over my words more than Joe Biden walking upstairs. So, a lot of room for improvement. But I slowly but surely gained more subscribers. My speaking, slowly but surely improved. I have a theory. The more people that click the button, the better I become at speaking. To the point where I someday hope to go through an entire episode speaking perfectly, articulately, and fluently. Some might argue that's a pie in the sky, crazy goal. But you have to aim for things high in life. So you can click that button. I think it actually will help improve the show. Now, going back to the lithium ion destruction, pretty much everything electronic we use has it, especially with the proliferation of governments pushing EV vehicles. Well, there's going to be even more demand for that type of raw material. So it seems like a good long-term investment, but we squeezed so much out of lithium ion in the past couple of years. I mean, to me, the real breakthrough technology in terms of mass adaptation of electronic vehicles is going to be with the new battery technology, like a new material that will allow the vehicle to be recharged rapidly, reliability, and long-term and safely over the long term. Where nowadays, again, they're getting better at extending the life cycle. The batteries now last, I think, 7 to 8 years. Depending on you, obviously, there's variables, wear and tear. If you use it more frequently, yeah, it's going to last a little bit longer. Still doesn't hold not even a shadow compared to the 25, quarter of a century or longer with a good old gas engine. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's a good long-term investment? Will lithium ion continue to be the dominant energy source for battery technology for the foreseeable future? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Culture Pride podcast, you have Elon Musk on Kamala Harris's 60-minute interview and the mostly flopping or crashing like a Boeing airplane, which at one point was a very reliable, admirable engineering company. Now this comes to us, of course, thanks to Elon over on X. And he says, he is actually responding to Bill Melgen over there. Now, Bill Melgen says, quote, 60 Minutes repeatedly asked Harris why the Biden-Harris administration waited 3 years to take executive action to curb illegal crossings. She says they introduced a bill upon taking office. That bill would have given an 8-year pathway to amnesty for millions of illegal immigrants. then pivots to saying that Trump killed or bypassed a border deal, which again, the administration did not attempt until after 3 years of record-setting chaos. Harris never actually answered the questions as to why they waited 3 years to attempt to stop the chaos at executive level votes. And a reminder that those record-setting numbers, they did not include the more than 1.9 million known gotaways that were recorded entering the U.S. without apprehension. Gotaways under Biden-Harris administration in 3 years were higher than the prior decade of Trump and Obama combined, and were times when the entire chunks of the border were left completely unmanned to focus resources on processing / match catch and release programs. There were days in 2022-3 when 2,000 plus gotaways were being recorded by CBP every day, while at the same time the administration was falsely claiming the border was closed and secure. How many Orcas or anyone in the government has their job still is beyond me. Well, it's the public sector, so no negative ramifications for actually, being terrible at your job. Granted, perhaps I can't think they were just doing, what they were told and what the plan was. And Elon responded to this saying, quote, "The Biden-Harris administration openly bragged about opening the border and stopping wall construction," which, yep. I mean, she should be really good at, Kamala Harris, she'd make an exceptional dodgeball player, not just because she spent a vast amount of time crouching on her knees, but she's very articulate at dodging questions. You throw a question at her, she'll dodge that left and right, which, again, this is a top issue for American voters. And even culturally speaking, it's one of the top topics that people are talking about when they're friends around the water cooler. And yeah, you're bragging about leaving the border open, and you're getting the fruits of your labor, so to say. It estimated 11 million illegals in the past 43 months. It's literally insane. That's more than the population of most states these days. Interestingly enough, many of them are going to swing states. And yeah, I think the average American, a lot of people are starting to wake up to the fact of how woefully inept the border is. And again, the biggest BS of all time is that border bill. If you look at actually read the border bill, and maybe it's just a perverse kind of like a dark humor, not dark humor, but not a perverse incentive mechanism, but there's all those ironic things, there we go, in politics where whatever the bill is called, usually the opposite of, it actually does the opposite of what's intended. Like the Patriot Act being the most unpatriotic piece of trash ever, stripping us of nearly all of our rights. And you have the Border Patrol with the border bill, the largest dollar amount, like if you look at the breakdown of where the money was going to Ukraine. And in the U.S., they said, oh yeah, it's going to help the border, or the U.S. is going to fund that. It was going to fund border processing, not actually securing the border or putting more agents on the border to defend the southern border. It's for processing, not actually securing the border. But they go, oh yeah, Republicans are bad. They didn't vote for that. They don't care about securing the border because your BS bill was named something it wasn't really. And don't get me wrong, Republicans do this as well when it comes to politics and naming bills that don't actually do what they're actually said to do. Now, this went pretty viral. Got 58.1 million views and 186,000 likes. And we do have a contrarian statement right off the bat. You have leftist Brian Krasenstein saying, quote, "Trump forced Republicans to do nothing to hurt Biden." Getting 595 likes. Mostly meant to the vacuous, but got a lot of likes and record number of comments. He got 338 comments. Everyone else is getting, 3 to 10 to 20. So we'll focus in on Ed really quick. And again, he got 595 likes as well as 41.4 thousand views. Now, one of the first responses to Brian is from James Michael saying, "You keep telling the same lie," getting 33 likes. RC Joy says, "Keep telling yourself that lie, Brian. The border bill you're talking about contained 80 billion out of 118 billion for foreign countries. That is not a good solution," getting 198 likes. It is fascinating how, when it looks at, protecting borders, how many trillions have we spent on other countries that most Americans cannot point to on a map? And I apologize. Click that subscribe button. It may help with my speaking aptitudes. I know I'm speaking a little bit too fast today. There are apparently some side effects of having, work 105 hours a week and drinking multiple pots of coffee a day, but I partially digress. Again, I appreciate your patience as we make the show better and better. Don't forget to tell your friends and, tell your enemies. Maybe they'll become your friends. Or they'll hate you even more because they don't like the show, in which case you're just adding more to the fuel to the fire, which inevitably could make your life more interesting, but partially digress. So going back to other top comments, responding to Brian, you have L.I. Patriot saying, quote, "Still going on about that bill that will only serve to legalize the border invasion. Pathetic. If Republicans had passed it, it would mean 2 million illegals a year with zero recourse to stop them and close the border," getting 36 likes. The Right Girl responded saying, "It is not a border bill. All it does is codify the same policies that would cause the crisis at the border. It allows for millions of illegals to enter our country annually, only now legally." FOH, getting 29 likes. Which, I'll have to check the Urban Dictionary later to see what FOH means. Let me know in the comments if you do know. Again, those are all responding to Brian. As you might say, he's getting ratioed. Someone has a gif of Biden, and his voice is actually pretty easy to imitate, so I'll do that. He does, cliche, "Come on, man." But in this case, he says, "I did that." Yeah. Got 13 likes from that. Going back to the main comic section, you have somebody named Thick Eggshell saying this woman flip-flops between every position. It's a cartoon caricature of Kamala Harris that says, Kamala, Kamala, chameleon. And on the iguana, or no, chameleon, it says, I'm Indian, I'm black, Biden's a racist. Oh, yeah. And he assaults women. Yeah, that was, to talk about a lack of character. Remember during the 2020 primary when Kamala and Biden were on stage debating? And she literally called Biden racist and sexist and evil. And then when he chose her to be the VP, she goes, "Oh, that was just a debate. That was just, like, how inauthentic is that?" That little caricature got 32 likes. You have Paul Zupa saying, quote, "In the first 100 days, Biden Harris removed 94 Trump executive actions that secured our border. They invited the invasion, getting 557 likes." Heather Eagleman says, quote, "They needed voters. They had no intentions of closing the border," getting 1.1 thousand likes. Cash Loren says Kamala and Biden literally sued states like Texas and Arizona to keep the border open. Fact checked, true, getting 46 likes. Which, I talk about how evil the federal government is. Telling Texas, how dare they tell Texas we can't defend our border? Especially when the federal government is not only doing anything, they're encouraging the problem. And when Texas tried to secure the border in Arizona, the government tried to sue the state. Wait, how that's not considered treason by the feds is beyond me. It's ridiculous. Scrolling down more and more. One bad dude says the corruption never ends. Is a picture of Trump with a quote. It says, "I told you they're corrupt as hell. Believe me now." Getting 342 likes. Trump Army says it gets worse based on the current apprehension rate. Harris is going to let another million in the next 4 months. And geez Louise, you can see the number of illegal crossings. Actually, I'm looking at the specific graph. It says annual southwestern border apprehensions. Sorry. It looks like, yeah, it exponentially increased after 2020. Funny about that. Getting 211 likes. Gerald TM says, on day one, Kamala and Biden worked on reversing Trump's border policies, and they then blamed Trump and Congress for not fixing the border problem, getting 252 likes. Yep. A lot of screenshots of articles noting that. Let's see. Not too many contrarian statements here. Oddbach Call says time to vote for Trump is Trump after his first assassination attempt, getting 70 likes. So, yeah, I think this is probably, again, it's one of those things where kind of politics leading a culture that it just talks about in the water cooler. I mean, the border is one of the number one things people are concerned about, anecdotally speaking. And let me know in the comments, do you think, I mean, this is becoming more of a common thing about cultural lexicon? You used to think, politics was more of a rare thing. I have many theories of why politics have grown in popularity in terms of subject matter between people, but let me know in the comments, do you think, well, shoot, will that ever actually solve the southern border problem? And don't forget those Canadians as well. We need a better wall up there. Don't get me started on that. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Elon Musk gotten a graph of Democrats moving more and more left to become leftist. As, yeah, it's one of those things where you take the policies from Democrats in the 1990s, and you just look at them now, they'd call you a right-wing extremist. And one of the best examples of the goalposts being moved throughout the years is the hot topic of abortion, which is one of the most debated topics for decades in the United States. And don't get me wrong, both sides raise money on the topic as well. But it's all this is where back in the 90s, you had the Democrats and Republicans were against it, obviously. Well, true Republicans, you have some rhinos who, but they believe, on the most part, many of them are faith-based. They believe life begins at conception on average. And Democrats, even back then, they didn't think it was a good thing in terms of abortion. They thought, and again, the very famous mantra of the 90s, even in Clinton's, it was supposed to be, they thought abortion was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare. That was their whole philosophy. That was a cultural, opinion about that at the time. And the goalposts have been moved so far, it's not a testament. It's not something they cheer for. It's to the point where at the DNC get-together, at the Democratic Convention, they literally had a mobile abortion clinic and, what do you call it when you neuter, not the vasectomy for men. They had a vasectomy machine service mobile, as well as an abortion mobile outside the DNC in Chicago. It went from being safe, legal, rare to now they're bragging about it. I mean, that's how far it shifted. And just having the opinion, like nowadays, if you're to say you believe that it should be safe, legal, rare, they call you right-wing extremist. It's ridiculous. This graph further emphasizes the point of how far they moved throughout the years. Again, this is brought to us thanks to Elon on X.com, in which he says, quote, and he's responding to a graph by the Rabbit Hole. Now, the Rabbit Hole graph says, between 1994 and 2017, Democrats shifted more drastically to the left than Republicans shifted to the right. So if we could Load that graph really quick here. Oh, there we go. And yeah, 1994, yeah, Democrats in the middle, Republicans at 5 and 6. Hilariously enough, Republicans went from a 6 to 6.5 in terms of this graph. Now the graph being on the very 0 being consistently liberal and 10 consistently conservative. Conservatives went from 6 to 6.5 in like 20 years. A lot of rhinos. But Democrats went from a 5 on the graph to a 4 to a 2, which that's insane. And don't get me started on Republicans, how, they still blows me. One of my pet peeves is the fact that they did not repeal the 1934 NFA, the National Firearms Act. Ridiculous and unconstitutional. And yeah, Republicans still haven't gotten that repealed. Ridiculous. But I partially digress. Now, Elon Musk responded to this, saying, quote, "This explains the silly terminology of leftist legacy press, where they only use the terms left and far right. From their extremely left standpoint, even centrists are far right." Correct. And a lot of folks, like Elon including, they all consider themselves left centrist. And that got right shy of 15 million views and 81,000 likes, with one of the first comments coming from AKA saying, quote, "It's not even close either. They've gone so far left, they're off the table," getting 314 likes. This is another very famous meme. It went viral a couple years back. Elon posted this. The rabbit hole has a picture of basically a nice a long line. You have left, you have right. You have some in the middle saying center. The very left was, my fellow liberal, and the very right is conservative. And then, throughout the years, my fellow liberal runs far and more far left. Person in the center stays there. Person on the right stays there. Then the last meme, or the little picture, is someone on the far left getting more far left, and it's being labeled woke progressive, says bigot, and the person in the center left a little bit to the right of the center, and the person on the right says LOL, which, yeah, because again, their policies have shifted so far. I mean, on many topics, again, one of my biggest passions is, well, I'm American, so I believe in the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. I mean, even back then, you've seen them now to the point they want to ban all semi-automatics just because they're scary black rifles. I mean, now they want red flag laws, which violate the whole concept of due process. It's one of those things where you're guilty first, and you have to go to court and prove yourself. It's disgusting, unconstitutional, and being used as a weapon in many cases against people in terms of disarming them unfairly. And they're pushing those types of laws. I mean, they just become more and more radical. Now that infographic, they got 683 likes. You also have Chuck Costello saying, quote, "Legacy media is the biggest bag for the Dem Party. Are you still voting Trump? Are you voting for Trump or communism?" Getting 164 likes. Email Strong says the meme hashtag swipe right made illustrates it, getting 40 likes. Paul Zupa says this is why so many people are walking away from the left. They're too far left, getting 33 likes. Trump Army says, "Which way, America?" And you have Trump as well as JD Vance. It says Americanism. They have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz says socialism, getting 291 likes, which you need to use that word more often. When was the last time you heard of Americanism? Sounds right. Scrolling on more and more, you have Trump Army saying spot on, and Elon Musk says, a quote says, "They don't ban hate speech, they ban speech they hate." True. And that got 454 likes. Going down, Nakimoto says the far left and far right are essentially identical, getting 185 likes. They share a lot of things. Although one wants complete government control, one wants anarchy, and, well, I would argue one's more freedom than the other. Let's see. Steve Ferguson says, "If you love America, the regime media brands you as far right. I'm proud to be far right," getting 28 likes. Sadly reminiscent of a couple years ago where they just called everything under the sun racist, where now that, and it's not good, but that word is pretty much lost all meaning. It's become so, no one really cares if you use that term anymore because it's become so ineffective, because it's like crying wolf. They said everything was racist, all of a sudden nothing became racist because they overused the word. Going down more and more, see if there's any contrarian statements. Anti-left memes, which they did respond to meme form this time, said the left considers our constitution to be far right, in 21 likes, which, yeah, they also say this is the party that now says the First Amendment is a threat to them. Which, again, go back to the 90s, left and right, they all believed in the First Amendment. I mean, the left didn't so much believe in the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment, everyone believed in. Don't get me wrong, Republicans, they helped pass the Patriot Act, which is terrible in terms of privacy, online privacy, and they've had their share of censoring people as well. Don't get me started. But yeah, now the left especially wants to ban the First Amendment. I mean, you have like, it was a Schumer and a couple other folks saying how it's a detriment, and the Clintons and Hillary saying, "Oh yeah, social media is a threat because we can't control it." And of course, I should say for the record, Hillary Clinton is definitely an absolute beautiful, intelligent woman who does not have a disproportionate amount of people who are surrounding her who coincidentally commit suicide. It's coincidence, of course. She is a beautiful, intelligent woman who never insinuates she's a criminal, who's had people killed. Just Also, just coincidentally, I do plan to live a long, fulfilling life. Just coincidentally, just want to throw that out there, and just for the record. But yeah, not too many contrarian statements. As again, culturally speaking, it's becoming more and more. I mean, more and more people are just starting to say like, I didn't become right. I just stayed put, and the left went, far left. They kept moving the goalposts and moving their party. And I think it's going to hurt them in upcoming elections as more and more people just feel politically alienated, and they're going to go somewhere. And now they, especially the past couple weeks, you had RFK Jr. come out for Trump. I mean, a lot of those libertarian folks are going to start going for the Trump party. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, Zelensky now perhaps proposing a ceasefire after speaking with Trump. Yeah, wonder why. Now, this is, interestingly enough, brought to us thanks to John Rich, other than the good old X Twitter, and he's responding to Election Wizard and says, breaking, Zelensky suddenly ready for a ceasefire in Ukraine, reports build. John Rich is saying, quote, interesting that right after Zelensky met with real Donald Trump, or hashtag real Donald Trump, he's wanting to talk ceasefire. Who knows? He knows who's in charge. Yep. Now, this didn't go as viral as I thought it should. It got about right shy of 150,000 views and 10,000 likes, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure Trump, what would he say? Yes, I will attempt that. I will attempt, perhaps a futile attempt, but I will attempt his accent. Zelensky, the money's done. You're giving $200 billion for what? Going to your pensions and your fancy places and all the money laundering. No more washing machines. No more money. We're going to stop. The killing will stop. Something to that effect, I'm sure. Because, yeah, when we look at which country's propping up the Ukraine the most, yeah, the single largest contributor to that is the U.S. government and our tax dollars. Which, yes, it is a combination of cash as well, in addition to U.S. resources like physical, military hardware and some humanitarian stuff, apparently. But yeah, nearly $200 billion just, going overseas. The hurricane victims, we'll give you pennies if there's anything left over in the U.S. Ridiculous. And same with our southern border. We don't have and I forget Democrats said, we can't spend $12 billion on a wall at the southern border. It's too much money. $12 billion is too much, but $200 billion is just fine. And don't get me wrong, Republicans are also voting to send money overseas. I understand as well. But yeah, if everyone ever brings up that argument again, don't let that stand. Yeah, I can't but think Trump said, seriously, again, they told Zelensky not to settle, what was it, like a year ago? The U.S. government sent their little British lackey over there and said, hey, don't accept a ceasefire, you can't keep fighting. So lots of young men died because the U.S. told Britain to tell them not to stop. Disgusting. And yeah, I can't think Trump said, hey, you got all this money? Well, considering we're the largest contributor to your defense, or rather your offense, that stops now. So there's going to be some compromises, but the war's going to stop. And yeah, once you stop fueling the war, it's pretty easy for it to patter out. Again, I can't but think if you look at the whole situation, most people, I think most, want it to stop. So hopefully it does soon. Now, some of the top comments here coming from Graph of Dems says, quote, he found out Kamala Harris's internal polling numbers, LL, getting 215 likes. You have, let's see here. Tom HB says, interesting that you didn't know Zelensky had ceasefire plans back in early September, but they are contingent on America supporting Ukraine. Joe Biden will win, and Ukraine will win, and they will join NATO. No. Got 9 likes, but John Rich responds saying, says the warmonger, I bet you support Nikki Haley, getting 33 likes. Yep. Krista says, laundromat is closed, getting 34 likes. Yeah. Again, it's funny, even CNN and Washington Post, like most major publications, left and right, I mean, prior to this whole conflict, they said consistently for decades, Ukraine is one of the most corrupt, useless countries on the planet. Well, not the useless to the U.S. We're not even the top 10 trading partners when you look at who does business with them on a global scale. But yeah, it is one of those corrupt areas. And don't forget, our tax dollars are paying to help support small businesses and their government pensions to Ukraine, when people in America are suffering left and right. That's ridiculous. You also have the evil Texan saying, quote, the money train's drying up and he knows it. He's about to find out that he's not needed anymore, getting 34 likes. Let's see here. David D says, hey, silly people, Biden has been using the drawn-down authorization from Congress to send gear to Ukraine. It's old gear we can normally sell or donate to people. It's not cash, and no, it can't be used in hurricane. It's a combination. We're selling them military gear and cash. And by selling them old military gear, again, U.S., we want stockpiles of gear. One of the biggest takeaways or lessons learned from a war business perspective after World War II was we decided that we would rather have more gear than not need it than to not need it. And then when war happens, inevitably you're a trade-off. You're going to have to ramp up for war, and people will pass. More people. The theory is, more people will die because we're not prepared. We don't have the resources up. So that's why you always have a stockpile. So by giving them old stockpile, we'll have to replenish it. You could argue that's good for the defense contractors because that's new sales news for them. So you could also argue, is that really growing the economy? You're just moving money around. When you sell to other countries, I would argue then the defense industry can definitely contribute to the growth of the GDP in the United States because you're adding new money to the equation. But another topic for another time, perhaps. I got 20 likes, though. Going down more and more. You have Still Living in the Woods saying, so thousands of Ukrainian and Russian men died just so they can give Eastern Ukraine to Russia away. This only suggests to me that it's not really about land to begin with. I wonder how much of this was all the fault of crooks in DC. Getting 7 likes, and yeah, a lot of crooks in DC. Left and right, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of them. Which is why I really hope if Trump gets elected, it actually will drain the swamp. Also, you need to get people more active politically, so actually vote people out of office when they do a terrible job or don't represent the things you want. Going down more and more. Let's see. Taps to pause says Zelensky knows what's up. Is buying, signing something. Zelensky's just looking at the sky, getting 9 likes. Seeker of Truth 24 says vote for Trump for peace. It got 3 likes, which, yeah, he had some bombastic tweets. But it was the first time in my life he didn't have any new wars, which is pretty. I mean, that's unprecedented. So yeah, I can't but think, yeah, as soon as if Trump does win, I mean, that's just going to be day one. Zelensky, you are cut off. We're not sending any more tax dollars there. Inevitably, that'll stop fueling the war because, again, look at who's giving them the most. Europe's helping out a little bit, not as much. But yeah, it's a pretty big incentive mechanism for Zelensky to stop. But let me know in the comments, do you think this will actually go through? Do you think, I mean, again, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, maybe those will already be peace. I hope so. I really hope this is an outdated video in that regard. Because obviously, peace is better for everyone, and I hope it gets to that point. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think you're optimistic it'll go through, or a little pessimistic? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer feeding a woman like a dog and wearing a camo hat and feeding her Doritos. Which, I'm trying to think, last decade, I think I bought Doritos. What year was it? What year was Modern Warfare 2 on the Xbox 360? I don't think I bought Doritos in over a decade, at least for personal use. I think I've gotten the small bags for guests on the podcast, but yeah, I'm definitely not their core audience when it comes to, purchasing those little mystery bags of stuff they sell. Now, this is brought to us first by Oil London, and again, this wasn't something it's supposed to be private. This person, I mean, the governor put this out there on social media, Lord knows why. He says, quote, Governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, appears in a bizarre video feeding Doritos to a woman. Now, interestingly enough, the woman is not wearing a collar or anything, which is, it's a Democrat, so, Lord only know. We see in the parades, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they had that. Which, again, do whatever the hell you want in bedroom. It's kind of weird you advertise it out loud, so to say. But looks like only about 8 seconds long, and if you're watching on YouTube, they'll probably rip out the music, which is, again, why you should tune in on the Topping Show at Rumble, or go to the Apple Podcast or Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platforms. Now, looks like, in terms of fashion, the girl kneeling on the ground has a pink sweater. I don't want to say F- for fashion, but F. Definitely not an F+. plus. And without too much further ado. Creepy. Because he's feeding her Dorito. And Gretchen Whitmer, you can't see her. I kind of joke because she's wearing, now this is the rarest piece of apparel in history. She's wearing a Kamala Harris hat. A Harris Wallace hat. I didn't know those existed. Yeah, she has, now again, this is the worst marketing I've seen. Jesus. Who had worse marketing than this? Than Bud Light with Dylan Mulvaney? I say that partially just because of the font contrast. So she has a camo hat on, and the orange blends into the camo, so you can only make out the name written on the hat if you squint or do a screenshot and zoom in. So, terrible marketing to begin with, on top of the terrible rhetoric. But she's holding a bag of Doritos. She's holding the label properly, so you can actually read the label. She's wearing some type of rudimentary blue dress, very uninspiring. F- for marketing or fashion. And then just one more second. That's it. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying, is she making fun of communion? Is she, just being weird in general? And this is supposed to be raising campaign funds to getting people to vote. I mean, I know the Democrats are running a vibe campaign these days, so it's not really about the substance or the actual, arguments being made, but like one of the most bizarre things ever. And yeah, I in terms of marketing, I would never vote for this person. Well, this is also evil during the pandemic lockdowns. They, yeah, pretty bad, but also apparently pretended to kidnap herself as well. The FBI. Now, Liv's TikTok as well as Oil London posted this. Now, yeah, about 200,000 views on Oil London, getting 2.3 thousand likes, and yeah, a lot of people are drawing parallels. Maybe she's making fun of religion, saying this is maybe about communion. Some people are saying it's just them being weird for the sake of weird, which, again, I don't see this how does this gain you votes? Is this another thing on the TikTok or something that's trending and hip and cool that I don't know about yet? I don't think so, but just going to the comments section, one of the first ones comes from Mr. Bigglesworth Memes, who unfortunately did not respond in meme form, but nevertheless did simply say, quote, "That's not Bruce Jenner getting 2 likes." CR Sevrillian says, "Just when you think it can't get any more cringe, now they've ruined Doritos for me." Getting 114 likes, which, yeah, I was going to say, when's the last time you actually ate a bag of Doritos? What decade was that? Yeah, I think it was in high school when I was, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on the Xbox 360. I think legitimately that was the last time I bought it. We also have Mr. Reality saying, quote, "What the hell is up with these freaks and their obsession with Doritos?" Getting 185 likes. Now, this is also maybe about 6 to 8 months ago. Doritos hired a trans spokesperson who apparently abused children over in Europe. Now, to Doritos' credit, as soon as that came to the surface or came to light, they did cancel that spokesperson and that partnership, so they did the right thing. But again, it's one of those things where you probably should have done more research to begin with. Or should digress. You also have the investigation examiners saying, quote, "Oh, geez, cover your ears if you have children listening, because a couple of these comments are a little off color, so to say." It says Gretchen is a Gretchen is a BDSM lesbian, getting 156 likes, which I didn't see any here, but who knows. Lady says, "Ew, this gives off disgusting vibes," getting 305 likes. Rob Coates says, "The same people saying stay out of the bedroom literally brings us to the bedroom," getting 329 likes. Logic for All says, "Democrats are the party of freaks," getting 318 likes. Red Wave Press says, "Wow, she's creepy," getting 174 likes. Tom Young says, "People actually vote for her seriously," getting 152 likes, which, yeah, that's quite concerning. I still can't believe people are going to vote. Almost unfathomable people are going to vote for this, but I digress. Let's see. Now, Sweet Monster says, "Disturbing seems like..." Grammar be damned, I'm going to try to read exactly as they put it. "Disturbing seems Tom like they try to mock the act of taking communion," getting 22 likes. Down by the River says, "This is Governor of Michigan. Contest her to DeSantis." Pretty sure they meant contrast her to DeSantis, Governor of Florida, getting 53 likes. Let's see. Michigan Man says, "I apologize on behalf of my state and the embarrassment of the governor," getting 54 likes, which is kind of funny. I never thought of a Michigan Man. I mean, everyone has a cliche Florida man. What do you think of when you hear a Michigan Man? Can't but think of, they're probably reminiscent of something to do with automotive, because the big three are headquartered there, and Wolverines. Not the comic strip, but the college. You also have Prepper saying, "Note the woman being fed has been..." Jesus. The woman being fed is being fetishized like a little girl. The child is dressed, the ribbon hair. WTF. Getting 67 likes. Let's see. Lady says this is like an intro to an adult content, if you know what I mean, getting 81 likes. Prince Dracula says, "All Democrats are cringe and creepy," and 33 likes, which is kind of funny that the ultimate pot calling the kettle black, where they say, Republicans are weird, which, I don't know, in what world is this not weird? It's very unusual. Oh, case in point, Rebecca actually says, "These people are calling conservatives weird," getting 93 likes. Yeah, Robo says, "Why are they so weird?" Someone did a little Photoshop, so they added some labels. This comes to us thanks to Edgar Friendly, saying, quote, "They'll keep shoveling it in as long as you eat it." And the girl kneeling down is labeled liberal voter. Gretchen Whitmer is saying liberal politician, label her. And then the Doritos is labeled actual shit. I got 11 likes. And again, let me know in the comments. I mean, how does this increase favorability or voters for Gretchen Whitmer? She put this out. It's not like this is a leak or anything. She thought this is going to increase her brand or get some more funds. I mean, really bizarre. I don't see how that does anything for the brand, or, I mean, really does anything good for them. But let me know in the comments your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the business blunder of the day, you have a Honda Civic Type R and Acura Integra Type S recall, among other Hondas as well, which, yep, not great. When your top of the line vehicle is recalled, you didn't do, I mean, granted, a lot of these vehicles share components, but you didn't do extra scrutiny when you're selling your most expensive, fancy, awesome, cool vehicle. A little disappointing. This is brought to us thanks to Road and Track, specifically Emmett White, who's a writer over there. Says, quote, Civic Type R, Integra Type S among 1.7 million US Hondas being recalled for a steering issue. Honda has received more than 10,000 warranty claims related to the problem. Terrible. Now here you can see the iconic, I think it's iconic, the Honda Civic Type R sells Acura, which they're much more subdued compared to the previous generation design, which, I don't know, to me, I wish the new Civic Type R was just a little more aggressive over the standard, Civic and, Civic Si. I get to understand the concept of a sleeper, but it's tasteful. But to me, I wish they were just a little more angular, a little more unique. But that's just me. Now, they say, quote, Honda's top-of-the-line vehicles are among 1.7 million vehicles across the United States subject to a recall after thousands of reports regarding steering problems with the automaker's vehicle, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Specifically, the issue originates from the steering gear worm wheel. Try saying that 10 times. The steering gearbox worm wheel, a part that Honda says it improperly produced. The result of this production deficiency is a swelling worm wheel protruding into the worm gear, creating a sort of binding inside the steering gearbox. In simpler terms, Honda says that there is a potential for a significantly increased steering effort should the steering gearbox failure occur, prompting the company to issue a precautionary recall. And they say here's a better picture of the Type R, which, again, if I won the lottery, I'd buy one of those. I mean, that'd be so, I love my Gen 10 Civic Si. I wish they had a coupe still for the new Honda Civic, but I partially digress. If I won the lottery, I'd definitely get one of these. And they say that, quote, 2024 to 2025 Acura Integra Type S, which, again, it's the same core vehicle, but they make it fancier. Well, different styling, different materials, very similar to General Motors with Chevrolet and Cadillac. Now, again, they say, quote, the 2024, 2025 Acura Integra Type S and the 2023, 2025 Honda Civic Type R are among the most notable vehicles recalled, but hardly the only ones. Oh, geez Louise. It also includes, well, shoot. I have to check. I might have to call them myself. Also, actually, no, I don't. I have a 2018. Whew. Although they still have that water pump recall. Ridiculous. But nevertheless, they say, quote, the 2022 to 2025 Honda Civic, 2023 to 2005 CRV, 2023 to 2025 HRV, and 2023 to 2025 non-Type S Acura Integra are all included, with National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimating about 1% of the nearly 1.7 million units recalled will actually turn out to suffer the problem. Now, they say, quote, filings with the NHTSA say that owners should look out for an abnormal noise and or momentary sticky feeling when the vehicle is operating and the steering wheel is turned. Complaints filed by owners of this array of Honda vehicles include a consistent mention of progressively sticky steering wheel feel, especially at high speeds, which especially isn't good because, again, the Civic Type R, granted, a lot of them are pavement queens, they just go to car shows. It's made to be a fun track toy, so especially something you don't have to worry about, losing the ability to turn. Again, you're not going to a drag strip with a Civic Type R. I mean, you'd probably be laughed at, but realistically, they're great for circuit racing and track use. They'll say, quote, there is a remedy available. Honda says dealers will replace the worm gear spring and redistribute/add grease as necessary, free of charge, as always. Notably, Honda engineers adjusted the worm wheel pressure angle, tooth tips, control valve, as well as the spring load specification for further assistance. Revised steering gearboxes were introduced in the model produced after August 30th, 2024. Owners who have paid out of pocket for issues related to the steering gearbox may be eligible for compensation as well. The recall was prompted by the federal probe of a steering wheel issue back in March 2023. Honda says it received its first complaint of the issue back in September 2021, prompting the company to begin an investigation in November 2022. Which, a little bit of time lapse there. Working with NHTSA, Honda continued to revise the steering gear production process throughout 2023-24, though the rate of complaints in the summer is what ultimately caused the recall. Now, kind of insult to injury. Now, it looks like there's actually already been some issues in terms of detrimental. Now, they say that the NHTSA has received reports of 13 crashes related to the issue. And They do not specify if it was detrimental or not. Let's see here. So hopefully these people didn't actually lose their, didn't pass away from this. Hopefully it was just a crash where it wasn't a fatality. But definitely not great for the reputation of Honda, because again, Honda is known for one thing and one thing alone: reliability. I mean, when I was looking at getting a new vehicle, I mean, I looked at the Ford Focus ST. It had more horsepower, more torque than the Civic Si. Truth be told, it's a little more fun to drive. But I went for the Honda Civic Si because the Honda was reliable. And truth be told, turned out the assemblers at Ford actually were putting Mustang gaskets onto a Ford Focus, which eventually caused a leak, which not very smart. And then again, Honda's known for being reliable. And the fact that, again, it's also not good for the premium brand of Honda. The premium in terms of, again, this like the top trim levels, the Acura as well as the Type R. I mean, that's the ones where, I mean, they're successfully selling at over sticker $10,000+, which to me is ridiculous. I always tell people, if you can get a Honda Civic Type R for like 33, 35 grand, great value. I mean, the sticker price alone, I think, is about 45 grand. The dealerships slap on a 10 grand market adjustment. It kills me that people still pay for that. To me, at that price point, you start looking at used Porsches, but that's just me. But again, your brand is known for reliability, I mean, above all else. And have such a detrimental issue that's core. I mean, this isn't just like a broken light on the dashboard they can easily swipe out, or a simple software update. I mean, it's something that's core to the vehicle infrastructure, one of the core things the car needs to do, which is turn. I mean, this isn't a Dodge Challenger. You're just going to go in a straight line really fast, and well, admittedly, you'll have fun. But this is an issue which is, core to the function of the vehicle. And again, it's always free to the consumer. Now, don't get me wrong, dealerships hate this because the pay rate for the dealers to fix this is at a discounted rate. The manufacturer pays them back, but all the techs don't like working on warranty work because it's paid much less than their standard service rate. And if you tell the customer hates it because inconvenience time, depending on the dealership, maybe you do or do not have a loaner vehicle. Maybe you have to touch a stranger, go into either side, Uber or Lyft. And overall, just chisels away at the brand reliability, just the brand durability overall. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love Honda. My parents bought a 2001 Honda Accord new, and we're pretty frugal people. I mean, to this day, it still runs like a champ. It's had a couple small issues, but I mean, the glory of the internal combustion engine is, phenomenal. A little disappointing. It's an automatic, so it's, not the most fun learning to drive as a kid. But don't get me wrong, it's a great durable vehicle. I kind of think Japanese engineering and reliability of all cars kind of peaked in 1990s, 2000 era. But again, having another recall Honda that chisels away at your brand identity of being reliable, especially that, again, it hurts all the vehicles, especially the premium vehicles that you're showcasing and people paying a premium for. And again, it's a fun track for you. You should be durable, tough as nails, especially when it comes to the core thing of turning. I gotta say, Honda, that recall for steering, it's gotta be the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know I can make sure better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.